What's up, everybody, and Happy New Year. It's now 2026, and today I have my 2026 car resolutions and goals for you. I don't know how big of a video this will be. I don't know how much people care, especially being such a small channel, but I wanted to share mine anyways. Maybe it'll inspire you, or just to keep myself accountable. So I have my 2026 New Year's resolutions. They're not in any kind of order of importance or anything, just how I thought of them when I thought of them. So starting at number one, and it has to do with the cars that I currently own, and that's just a little bit of extra car care. The last few years I've been lazy about washing cars, whether it's being in Arizona and it being too hot, or being back on the East Coast in the Mid-Atlantic and it being too cold like it has been lately. But the Pajero behind me, not super dirty. Charger is absolutely filthy. I've neglected being consistent about washing the Charger when I used to wash it every weekend, no matter what the weather was. And I used to wax it every 3 months and spray wax it once a month. I want to get back on that. I want to take care of the outside of the cars more, make them shine more. The Pajero hasn't been driven a lot, which we'll talk about why here in a second, but that's not super dirty. It could maybe use like a quick detail, but it's not too dirty. It's pretty clean because I haven't taken it anywhere dirty. I haven't driven in the rain, but I want to wash the cars more and clean out the interior more. This is more Charger related. It being the daily driver, taking on road trips, sometimes the trash builds up. It needs a vacuum. Clean down the surfaces, putting leather conditioner on the steering wheel, center console / armrest, and the door armrest. Little stuff like that just to take care of it more, clean the inside windshield more. And then a really bad habit I have that is not great for the car. It's not devastating, but I just want to fill up my gas more as part of my car care. I don't ever run out of gas, but I very often, especially the Charger, let it get under a quarter tank before I fill it up. So I want to fill it up prior to being a quarter tank at worst. And then it's just fixing little things. There's a crack in my windshield that was a small chip, and now it's a big long crack. I need to get the windshield replaced in the Charger. The Charger, also the passenger door panel is peeling upwards. Back a year and a half after I got the car, I was falling asleep while driving home in the neighborhood, clipped a mailbox with the mirror. Mirror had to be replaced. And then I broke some clips when I did it, never went back and fixed those clips. And so from sitting out in the sun and baking, it's warped the plasticky leather on top, and I just want to get that replaced. And then there's a small little underneath panel that got ripped off because I'm lowered and I scraped on a big bump, and that got ripped off. I need to go get that fixed as well. Some bigger thing, and then one other small thing is the exhaust. When you start the car, when you accelerate and the active exhaust open, the actuators squeak. This is a very minor thing. I just got to get under the car and lubricate them. That's a 5-minute job once you have the car jacked up. I just hate being under that car anywhere near it jacked up because it's so heavy and it's so low, but it's something quick and small that could be fixed. And then the AC, this is a bigger one. Depends on how long I own the car, which we'll talk about in a second. Got to get the AC fixed. I tried to recharge it. It lasted a day, so something's broken in the AC. I need to get that fixed, but it's cold, so I'm not worried about that. And then one other small issue is the front driver side, the wheel that's currently on the front driver side has had a small leak forever. If I decide to keep the car longer than the rest of 2026, then I'll start to look at getting that fixed. I just have to fill up my tire every day, which is kind of annoying. Just even if it's a couple PSI, I filled it up today. It was 2.5 PSI, it was drivable. But I got new tires and the leak came right back. So it's probably slightly bent, a very small crack in the wheel. Wheels can be expensive, so maybe I'll look at getting the wheel repaired if I decide to keep the car a while. On the Pajero side of things, and this is why it has not been driven, you can see behind me the window's down. In my last video, the window is down. Something is broken in the window. I haven't had a chance to diagnose it, which we'll talk about in just a split second. But the window's been stuck down. When you have the car on and you hit the window switch for the right side window, the driver's side in this case, you can hear the motor clicking. So I don't know if the regulator's broken, if something's faulty with the mirror, with the motor, or what's going on there. I got to diagnose that. And the other reason it's not being driven is it has a parasitic draw on the battery, and I'm wondering if it's a faulty window motor, because everything seemed fine, startup seemed fine until the window went out. The window was kind of sluggish when I got the car, and now the window's out. So got to figure that out. Got to figure out the parasitic draw, and then I want to drive this car a lot coming up, especially with some cold winter weather. The nice spring coming up, I want to drive this car a lot. So those are the minor things. Also, timing belt water pump change. I found the sticker on there says it was September 2018 when it was done, and it was at 91,000 kilometers. I made 164,000 kilometers. You got to do it about every 100,000 kilometers. So I got about 15,000 miles left on that timing belt, but it is getting to, it's about 7.5 years old, a little more than 7 years. So timing-wise, it's starting to get done. Depending on how long I keep that car, that's going to get done this year. Depending on how things are going with the car, transmission and diff fluid, I have no idea when those are changed. I got to get those changed. Those ones I don't want to do myself. I did the oil change. I don't want to do the transfer case fluid, the diff fluids, and the transmission fluid on my own. But it's just something nice to get done, especially if I prepare to sell this car at any point. Having the timing belt done with a record and those fluids done with records is very nice for selling the Pajeros because it's something people ask about. And old fluids can prevent the four-wheel drive high and low from engaging. And older fluid, when it's cold or it's been sitting a while, can have trouble shifting from first to second. Like when I finally drove this car after it's sitting a month last week, it had trouble shifting between first and second. And then once I got driving, it was fine. It just needs to warm up, get the fluid circulating again, and new fluids can help with that. So that's like the car care. That's the car care resolution / goals that I have. But you kept hearing me mention, depending on how long I keep these cars, I think in 2026, I'm going to switch some things out in the garage. The Charger I've had since new in 2018. I bought that May 20th, 2018. So this spring will be 8 years with the car. I love the Charger. It is so much fun to drive in a straight line at least. I've done some mods. It's on lowering springs. It's got front and rear strut bars. So very basic mods. I've had an air intake for over 2 years. I think I bought it Black Friday 2 years ago. That hasn't gone on it. I'm probably not going to put that on because I'm thinking I'm going to get rid of the Charger. Now, what's to come with the Charger? We'll see. Obviously, it's going to be my daily because the Charger's my daily now. It could be a hot hatchback. It could be a fun sedan, something like a Kia Stinger, or I've been kind of really liking the idea of the Genesis G70 as long as you get the V6 and all-wheel drive. And it kind of depends. I've also thought about the GR Corolla and the Golf R. Something different. It's not going to be a V8 probably. I just want to experience a bunch of different things. Big, loud, and a V8, awesome. I wouldn't rule out ever owning a V8 Charger again, especially if the new one gets a V8. And the other thing is, it's just so damn big. Some of the roads around where I live in Western North Carolina, out in Nashville, some of the roads are just very tight and people don't know how to drive on them. People are commonly over the yellow lines. People just don't really know how to drive, even in small cars on a lot of these roads. And there's so many SUVs and trucks. And sometimes that car just feels way too big. Plus, the gym I go to's got a tight parking lot. And some of the parking lots around here are tight. And the Charger is, as long or longer than my parents' Ford Explorer, as wide as their Ford Edge. So it's got an SUV footprint. And it's just very big for some of the things around here. So, slightly smaller sedan, hot hatchback is where I'm going. I've also had some thoughts recently about replacing it with a fun SUV like a, 2017, 18, like Macan, maybe a slightly older Cayenne, maybe a Stelvio Quadrifoglio, something like that, because I'm also in 2026 thinking the Pajero is going to go. I love the Pajero, but when I bought it, it was a 1 to 2 year car max. Body panels are impossible to find. If I got to replace the window motor, I have to order it from Japan, and after tariffs and everything, it's almost $300. So parts are hard to find. Parts are expensive. And that doesn't mean I wouldn't get another car that, has some issues and maybe had some parts availability issues. But this car was only sold in Japan. There was only 2,500 to 26,73, depending on who you ask. But it was under 2,700. So there's not a lot of people that own them. So there's not a lot of people that can answer questions. And parts availability is questionable. So it was a 1 to 2 year car. It's looking more like it's going to be 1 year. Radwood in Concord, North Carolina is coming up in April. I want to bring it to that at least. But I think the Pajero and the Charger are both on the way out. So I've thought about the Charger not just being replaced with a hot hatch or a sedan, but maybe a fun SUV, something that I don't go off-roading, so I don't necessarily need the four-wheel drive and the super high ground clearance that the Pajero gives me for when I go hiking and go to trails. So if I decide to go hot hatch or sedan for the Charger, I'll probably look at another weird SUV like the Isuzu Via Cross, or even go smaller and go Suzuki Jimny, especially the Jimny Wildwind I really like. There maybe go a Hilux Surf, just maybe another cool JDM, although if I got a Via Cross, I'd want to get a USDM model. You can get them slightly newer. And I just feel like parts would be easier. Plus, I don't mind right-hand drive, but it's also always easier to have left-hand drive. I think both cars, my goal is to switch them out. And depending on what I decide to do, I've thought about, like I said, getting an SUV because I don't need the super high ground clearance. I just probably need more than sedan ground clearance. So either quirky, cool SUV to replace the Pajero and hot hatch or sedan for the Charger, or fast, fun, decent handling, like crossover, small SUV for the Charger, and then like sports car or classic car for the Pajero. I've been really into like old German sedans, like thinking about getting an E30 or an E28, or get the Mercedes 500E, something like that maybe. Or go crazy a little bit and get a 996 Carrera 4S. That might be pushing my budget a little bit depending on what sits in the driveway as a daily. But I think I want to move on to new cars. So those are the two longest goals or resolutions to talk about. Another one is just I want to go drive some more fun roads. I live in a mountain area. There's lots of mountain roads around me. I want to go do that. Drive some more mountain or fun roads. Tail of the Dragon is like an hour and a half from me. I really want to go to the Tail of the Dragon. I'm tempted to take the Charger. I'm also tempted in the winter, if I get everything sorted out with the Pajero, to take the Pajero, because the Pajero actually has winter wheel tires on it. If I was going to keep it, if I knew I was going to keep it for a full 2 years, I probably would replace the tires with at least something all season. But, Tail of the Dragon's only an hour and a half away from me. There's lots of fun roads around the mountain roads around here. So I want to do that. And then if I go on travel, like I'm going to Phoenix at the end of February, there's some cool roads just outside of Phoenix to go drive on while I'm renting some fun cars out there on Turo. Just go drive some more fun roads because it's one of the things that made me fall in love with cars. And then the last resolution that is purely car-wise, purely like daily life of car-wise and not necessarily content-wise, although I would make more content out of this, is to travel to more like cars and coffees and caffeine and octane. I'm sure Charlotte has a bunch of cars and coffees. It's about 2 hours away from me. I'm sure Atlanta has a bunch. That's about 3 hours away from me. And Caffeine and Octane is down there. So, of course, I want to go to Caffeine and Octane. I got a buddy that lives in the area that goes to Caffeine and Octane regularly, so I could go meet up with him. And it's not that of a weird idea. I come from Southern Maryland where there is no cars and coffees. So we would travel to like Katie's Cars and Coffees, which starts at like 6 a.m. We live like 2 hours away. We'd leave at 4. So getting up early and going to Cars and Coffee and driving a ways there and back, not that foreign of a concept to me. Even we'd go to Annapolis, an hour and a half, hour 45 way to go to their Cars and Coffee. So not that crazy, but I want to go to more Cars and Coffees. And then this one's going to be a little more difficult, but I want to go to more like car experiences or shows. Like I said, I'm going to go to Radwood in April. If it wasn't the weekend after my Phoenix trip, I think I thought about going to Amelia Island, but being away from the fiance and the pets for a week and then be like, hey, and now I'm also going this weekend after seeing you for a couple of days, probably a little hard. Plus money does matter, but I want to go to like Radwoods. I want to potentially do like track days or performance drives. The BMW Performance Center for the East Coast is in Greenville, about an hour and a half away from me. So I think I'm going to go try to do one of their events. Hopefully I can at least I can film outside of the car. Hopefully I can, get some footage in the car. But that I want to do, or, it depends on when I replace the cars, but I potentially want to sign up for a car club so I can go to racetracks. I can go down to Road Atlanta. I could go up to VIR, stuff like that. You got to be part of clubs to do that. But do some track days. That'd be fun. But I don't really feel like hustling the Charger around a track, although, my dream was to do the mods I have, plus coilovers, and dial in some chassis bracing and suspension and kind of make it handle and put it on good tires. With the Charger probably going away, that's not going to happen. If I have a change of heart, maybe I'll modify it and make it handle better, but I doubt that. Or if the Pajero, or if I replace that with an SUV and the Pajero gets like a 996 Carrera 4S or something like that, do track days in that. I just think that would be fun. And then a big goal is to travel to some car event like Car Week, or now I'm forgetting the same week in Detroit. Well, you know what I'm talking about probably, but stuff like that. The closest I've ever come is summer cruising, fall cruising, and H2O in Ocean City, but obviously those have been ruined. But go to some like car experiences, car shows, car events. I want to do more of that throughout the year. So that's all like the daily car, travel, and life stuff that I want to do. But then the other thing that's kind of car related is for content. I want to ramp up doing more long form content like this video, or whether I do reviews which I'm planning to do when I rent the 2 cars that I'm renting on Turo at the end of February when I go out to Phoenix, If I travel to areas, rent a cool car, do a review on it, do more videos just talking about cars, which is mainly what I'm going to do because I can only do so many car experiences. I don't exactly get reached out to, or I'm a trusted person around the car community in Asheville because I've only been to a couple Cars and Coffee. So it's not like I can review a lot of cars, but I can certainly talk about a lot of cars. So maybe stuff like that. Just ramp up some long form content. Hopefully I can get some reviews in there. I know I can at least do it when I travel and ride on Turo. And I've looked on Turo around here. There's not a lot around Asheville that's worth getting into or spending the money on to try to review or experience. So there's that. And then just some goals related to that, because obviously it's all goals to, replace 2 cars with 2 other cars and to maintain, like all that, all resolutions are goals, but some purely goals is try to get to 500 subs on YouTube. So if you haven't, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's kind of a boring video, but we will be talking about cars a lot. And then maybe like 1,000+ followers on TikTok. I'm not really about Instagram. Instagram's weird. But I'm like just under 200 followers on TikTok, which that's linked down below if you want to come support me there. See shorter versions of my YouTube video when I quick talk about some like car news or something car related. If it's not worth a full video, I just do it quickly there, or I cut up my video and post those on TikTok like this will be on. So just gaining more following on YouTube and TikTok. The goal is 500 and 1,000 respectively, but we'll see how that goes. But those are my resolutions and goals related to cars and this channel and content and all of that. But please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you like car content and you want to see it first. And comment down below your car resolutions or goals for the year or what you think of mine. And don't forget, like I said, check out the TikTok link down below. I also have my Instagram for cars linked down below if that more interests you. And my Twitter. I might have my gaming stuff linked down below. If not, I should start adding that. But I have a gaming channel. I stream on Twitch. I'm streaming Forza the last few days at the time of recording this. And of course, when the new Forza comes out, I will. But thank you again so much for watching. Those are my car resolution and goals for 2026. I hope you have a wonderful 2026. I hope you have the best year of your life. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.